my very good friend, Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, admonishing us to continue with some of the things he claimed they did. I don't think that if you are really a patriot and a Democrat, there's nothing wrong with even continuing with things that the previous administration did. But one thing, Mr. Speaker, he failed to acknowledge that at least we didn't continue with the corruption. We didn't. And I thought he would have commended this government for not continuing with the outright corruption that indeed affected the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, we can stand here and speak the big English. We can stand here and use all the economic jargons. That is not of interest to the man who is struggling to look for job opportunities. That is not of interest to my grandmother who sells cocoa in the village. That is not an interest to the woman who sells kelewele in Kojo Oppong Nkrumah's constituency. What is of interest to the ordinary Ghanaian is how they feel. But let me also state, Mr. Speaker, in terms of governance, if you read the 2017 financial statement, and I urge my brother and others to go and read that financial statement, every single paragraph in that statement, they talked about corruption and how they were going to fight corruption. By the time we had the mid-year budget for 2017, they started removing the word corruption from the financial statement. By the time we had the 2020 budget statement, the word corruption was mentioned only once. Because instead of fighting corruption, they were fighting anybody who was fighting corruption. And that is the reason. Everything we do in this country, what is significant is our ability to fight corruption. And for the purposes of those who do not know, at any point in time there is a change in this government, either through the ballot or through the bullet in our history. Corruption has always been used as a justification for that changes we have experienced in this country. And therefore, corruption plays a significant role. They won the elections in 2017 at the back of corruption. And in fact, what they did were not even propaganda, outright lies. They said President Mahama and his wife, they had hotels in Dubai, all manner of things. And their communicators went to town with it. Not a scintilla of evidence were they able to provide. But everybody in this country, if you mention the NPP, even 2-year-old child would associate it with what? Corruption. If you mention the NPP to anybody who is not even in this country, they would associate it with what? With corruption. To the extent that you have communicators of the New Patriotic Party who indeed have all gone on radio, and there are evidences that one of the reasons why they are struggling was because there was an unacceptable level of corruption in the administration of the NPP. So, Mr. Speaker, today you are talking about that, and to say, Mr. Speaker, the least said about patriotism, the better. And now my brother is telling us that, you see, we are patriots, and that is why we are supporting. That is why we have never been against any of such intervention. As a matter of fact, you have staged more work out in this parliament than your total number in parliament. You have staged more work out in this parliament than the total number of your representation. Patriotic citizens do not walk out. They argue with reason. Patriotic citizens do not just hold press conferences. In fact, I am told that your other name is press conferences. So, Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that the NDC under President Mahama and the Minister for Finance and his able deputy have showed our friends